And we're live, so good evening or afternoon or maybe bloody early in the morning where you're at, and welcome to our next segment in Coach's Corner, where we go through and look at the differences between some thinking in a average player such as myself and someone who's a top 100 player, and just see what the differences are in how we approach the decks, how we approach the play, and what are some of the things we can change to help improve our game. So today we're joined by Dialex, which is awesome. He's from Australia. He got into Scrolls about a year ago. Since then, he's become quite involved in the community through Reddit discussions and Scrolls Guide posts. I know I've really appreciated the links that he's posted. I've utilized some of his decks that he's posted and tried to understand the mindset of someone at his skill level, and someone has a number of games that he's played. As you can see on the screen, he's played almost 3,000 games in beta and won a whole bunch, and currently ranked 7, so he has a wealth of experience. So welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
And so after the, just like we're doing with the other ones, when I post the video sometime kind of mid next week, I'll post Dialex also has a stream that he does. I'll post the deck that we'll be playing today and kind of all the subsequent information from the video today. So that should be in the description of the video, and they should find below. So what we're going to do today is, earlier on in this series, I played my first Decay match, and I think in this session, if you're up for Dialex, we'll play my second Decay match.
Sounds good.
So what we'll do is I'll go through the deck the Dialex provided and kind of have some conversation about it. It's different than the one we played earlier on, and we'll highlight some of the differences as well as some of the choices made in the deck and how to approach the deck. Excuse me. So maybe I'll just toss it to you on this stage. Is I have the deck loaded on the screen. If you can, some things that stand out for me right away is, just take me through the deck first, and then I'll pop you with some questions.
All right. Well, ideally, we want to get out our tribesmen early, so we have less rippers because, rippers kind of die easily. So although it doesn't look like it, it's kind of a slowly building deck. So you kind of want your high hit point units out, and then back them up with the Witch Doctor, the Harvester, and the Life Stealers, which are kind of the big damage dealers. Rod Eater can kind of squeeze in there as well, but he dies kind of easily as well to some things like Brain Lice and Burn and things like that. But I have a few rippers in there because it's mainly kind of a turn 7 play, not turn 7, so 7 resource play, where you have the Witch Doctor and the Ripper out at the same time, just to back it up. A single Maya Curse. Maya Curse is good, but it's so situational that only keep 1 in there. It's handy against structure energy around for some decks, just to so they have to maneuver around it. The Return to Nature is good for growth decks. I was having a lot of trouble with early betas, so they kind of deal with those. Other than that, it's kind of semi-standard. You have all the typical Bloodline, Infectious Blight, Cursemongers, etc.
Okay, so now I think the question that I have is typically, from my experience, I haven't myself built a lot of decks. I have a tendency to see what some other people are playing, look at it, try to play it. If it doesn't work for me, I tweak it slightly. For me, it's really different to see only a one-of card, and so I think you touched on it. Is the Ripper is a and play, so like a Witch Doctor and Ripper. And so Maya Curse is the one that you have in your hand to deal with, the beast swarm of growth, or I guess order potentially.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Well, the Maya Curse. Actually, it works really well against Automator Forges because it immediately does 1 damage to anything that pops out of it. You can also, it's really situational as well. Sometimes if someone also sees you're playing Maya Curse, they will immediately, if you cast it once, they'll immediately position their units against it somehow, like, which kind of plays to your advantage because they expect 3 in there, and so it works out pretty well sometimes.
Who else? Oh yeah, this is something else I was supposed to bring up. Is that from one of the earlier streams that I did, Zark wanted to give you a shout out and say, you know what? When I'm on the ladder and I see Dialex play, I specifically don't play on the ladder. I avoid him at all costs. Because we were talking about, you know, his climb from mid 1500s to, you know, number 4 over the last 2 weeks. And so, you know, he was very candid. And he shared a bit about, you know, how he chose the deck, how he got coaching, he worked with he worked with his guild, and then he kind of chuckled and he said, "And I avoid Dialex at all costs."
Yeah, his deck is super strong against energy, and this deck is, I mean, the main weakness is this, or any Decay deck, is obviously any structures.
Yeah.
Also, it has trouble a little bit with enchantment growth. If growth get a really good start, like I said, with the early beta, and then like maybe a turn kind of 3 Brother of the Wolf, that can be really hard to deal with. So if growth get off to a swinging start, it can cause you trouble. Other than that, it's a pretty well-rounded deck that can kind of, and obviously structure energy. I have a lot of trouble with SYSP's deck. It just beats me down every time I play him.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, for the sake, so I know what cards we have here. So we have one, and just so for me to familiarize myself as I play it. So we have 1 Ripper, 3 Tribesmen, 3 Languid, 3 Darkling, 1 Mire Curse, 3 Return to Nature. So Return to Nature. Creatures on target tile and all adjacent tiles get -1 health. Okay. 3 Blight Bearers, 3 Brain Lice, 3 Harvester, 3 Rot Eaters, 3 Soul Steals, 3 Bloodline Taint, Cursemonger, Damning Curse, Infectious Blight, Life Stealer, Oblivion Seeker, and Witch Doctor. So in this deck, Oblivion Seeker, when it dies, it draws cards. Return to Nature does -1 around the unit. Mire Curse, 1 poison damage to all adjacent creatures. Brain Lice for 3 rounds. 1, okay. Languid -2, and when it... So it's a 2 plus a draw. Bloodline Taint is Curse 2. And is it's a subtype, so it's not just humans. It would have to be soldiers or...
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. All right, so I think I
think humans is a type of subtype.
That's okay. Okay, so Cradstache is again going to be our opponent. So
Sure.
thank him for. I appreciate him volunteering. So let's do first match. Depending on how much time we have, we'll do at least 1 match. Depending on what time we got, we might get in 2 matches. But we'll see how the time goes. We want to try to shoot for about an hour, is what I'd like to do. Now, I really got burned on being greedy on a mulligan on one of my other sessions. So on here, we have a 2, 3... So I don't have a play on a unit until turn 3, which I have 2, and then 1 on turn 4. I would... Sorry. No, go ahead.
I would definitely mulligan, because what you're really aiming for, you don't want the Harvester out early. You're kind of aiming for at least a Tribesman or a Soul Steal in your hand. They're probably the 2 key cards that you want, depending on the matchup. But that's a safe bet if you're going first.
So Tribesman for the wall factor and the Soul Steal for getting rid of, because we don't know what he's playing yet. So the Soul Steal for, you know, the growth creatures that get played, or some of the early other aggro creatures.
Yeah, it just deals with all the draw mechanic cards. So we have what's the Smuggler and the Vengeful Beta.
Yeah.
That can.
Okay, so we got a Tribesman, we got a Loyal Darkling for turn 2s, we have a Rot Eater and Brain Lice turn 3, and a Cursemonger turn 4. So 10-second warning, I would sack the Darkling and...
Yes, okay. That's what I'd do as well.
That time's
So
not.
Darklings are actually really bad early game, but they're kind of a great late game.
Yeah. The time ran away from me prior, so I'm going to have to make sure I focus on the time here. All right, so he's playing Order. Don't know what type of order, but I'm fairly certain he has an Aging Knight. Fairly certain that it's maybe more of an aggro order. So I've got a Blightbearer. I want to play a Tribesman this round. Sack for resources, and I would sack Blightbearer.
I would actually sack, it seems weird, but I actually sack the Rod Eater, just because, he's got a lot of maneuverability, so he's probably running Holder or something, and Roddies aren't as good as Blightbearers in this matchup.
Because of the number of units that he'll potentially have on board and the poison damage we can do. Okay. So sack the Rot Eater for cards, play the Tribesman. Not cards, sorry, resources.
Yeah.
And Tribesman, 3 turns to play. So do I play him on the bottom row?
Yeah, bottom or top. Doesn't matter.
In the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd protect from Potters slightly better, I think. Oh no, all the same.
Okay. So that was good. So I think I'll just let the time run out as I talk a bit. So I think that the difference between playing the Rot Eater versus playing the Blightbearer, I think that's a great call out where I wouldn't have made that distinction on. I'm used to seeing. I usually play Growth, so I'm used to seeing Rot Eater in the middle. So my natural reaction would be, well, it makes sense to have Rot Eater, but based on the matchup that you have, plus the Roasted Bean Potion and his Wings Captains that he have with lots of maneuverability. I can see why the Blightbearer would be a bit better play. That's good.
Yeah, Poison is definitely going to be a key in this particular matchup. Obviously, the Bloodline is going to come out at some point and probably give the board wipe, which will... I mean, he's going to get the tempo. He'll almost definitely... this is definitely a tempo auto deck. It looks like Zark's deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going to happen is he's going to slowly build, and then we're going to try and board wipe and then take control. As soon as we board wipe, we should be good.
Okay. So on here, we got a Return to Nature. So we have a Return to Nature, Brainlice, Blightbearer, and Cursemonger. So I would sack... I don't know what I would do.
I'd sack the Return. Although Return's good, you kind of need 2 in your hand, and... the other 3 cards are so good in this matchup that we're going to have to sack the Return, I think.
Okay, because I was thinking it would be a while till we played it. And,
it'd be great if we had 2 Returns. We'd probably sack, something else. But
okay, so now positioning is I have no grid as to what to do positioning here. His Aging Knight's gonna beat us on the countdown. With the Tribesmen.
That's fine. I'd probably position aggressively. He's going to stunt. He's probably going to ignore our units and go for the idols. So we kind of want to survive for as long as possible. So maybe play the Blightbearer middle row and move up towards the Aging Knight.
So Blightbearer here?
Yeah.
So middle?
Yes, middle.
And then Hunter Tribesman up?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we want to say, we could have Brainliced him to definitely secure a kill, but the Brainlice is probably going to come in handy if he makes a 3-drop here, which he probably will. He'll probably play it like a Skirmisher or something.
Yeah.
That'll be a perfect Brainlice target. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so we got Soulsteel, Brainlice, and Cursemonger. Sack the Cursemonger, play Brainlice on the shield.
Yeah, we probably don't want to take 2 damage, so maybe it'll force him to make another unit play next turn if we do the Soulsteel. So probably sack the Cursemonger for cards. Because we want to stay around 3 cards at all times.
Okay, so I'm not okay. So that's a good call out on a difference here. So, no, I'll talk about it later. Just a point, I'll make a quick note of it. So sack for card, Cursemonger for cards, play Soulsteel on the Aging Knight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, unit positioning, so we've done our play. I would move the Shambler up to row 2 in the middle.
Yeah.
Just thinking of positioning. I don't think any other positions have to change.
I'd move the light bearer forward and maybe the tribesman behind him.
Okay, so now...
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
If he wanted to, he could like focus speed to try and remove both, but it's a 3-unit trade for a 2-unit trade. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that does make sense. So he pothered for card draw, I'm assuming. Because I'm not quite sure otherwise why he would have pothered the Blightbearer away. Okay, so we have 2 units attacking next turn. 1 is within reach of the tribesman. We drew a Harvester. Sack Witch Doctor for resources? Return to nature for resources?
Yeah. Let's probably return to nature for resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
this is a slow start from us.
Do I take the hunter out of range, or do I move him up and brainlice the shield? Or Blightbearer?
Brainlice the shield. You kind of want to protect this Shambler because he's going to be... So maybe move that guy up to protect the Shambler, whereas the tribesman down to get out of range, and then the Shambler behind. Nice.
And then brainlice the shield?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could also attack the shield once to ensure it didn't get another attack.
Yeah.
Because it would be down to 2, which means it's unlikely to attack again.
Flip. Why would he... Okay.
Actually, that's fine.
Okay, so...
Okay. Probably sack the Witch Doctor for cards. It's the best play.
Oh, this is good.
Probably play the Harvester. That's what I'd do. I'm not sure. What would you do?
I was just thinking about it. So we have, I mean, he has his countdown reduction potentially to get another attack out of these units, which he may or may not use. They're all on 2. They're all dying in 2 rounds. I would, just based on the stuff coming up of units dying, I would play the Harvester. I would play it middle in the back.
I would move down the tribesman, so that infantryman can't get in on the action, and then maybe play it behind the Harvester.
Okay, now does it matter if I move the tribesman to the middle or the front row?
Probably the front, to avoid the pother.
Oh yes, thank you, the pother. Okay.
See, we're definitely going to play that blight at some point, but the timing of the blight is going to be important because we want the most units on the field that are least likely to die. So, because these are going to die anyway, you can kind of can work around it because we want to follow up with the bloodline.
Yeah. And we got our 1 Mire Curse in hand, and we have 2 removal, 1 Damning Curse, and a Soul Steal. All right. 2 or less. Okay, so we drew a Rot Eater. If we go to 5... I would move the Harvester and the Tribesman. I don't know. I would move the Harvester and the Tribesman up. I would sack. I don't know what I'd sack.
I would sack the Mycos for resources. We're getting behind on resources, which is bad news. And we want to probably play the Rod Eater, or we could. It's a little bit resource efficient, more resource efficient to play the Damning, but it would be nice to get the buff from the tribes in the next round. But I definitely go down, not up. We don't want to take an aggressive stance with against these guys just yet.
Okay, so 10 seconds. So move a Harvester and Tribesman down, Rod Eater in the middle?
Down, and play the Rod Eater behind. You have to wonder which card he has left in his hand. He's only got one card. It's probably a speed, some type of haste.
Yeah. See, and that's a second good point I have here. All right. For the sake of this stream, I'll just so I don't get delayed. I'm just making notes on things I want to talk to you about after the game.
Sure.
There's some good things that have come up that I want to kind of call out.
All right. So, I guess the best play is probably Damning Curse the Infantryman.
Okay, and then do I play a Ripper as well?
We'll sack the Soul Steel for cards first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the option is, or what I see is, potential for Harvester on the top side of the board and a Ripper to protect one of them, or Damning Curse the Infantryman, trigger the Harvester and clear his board.
Yeah, I think the 2-for-1 trade is definitely the way to go, because for one scroll we get 2 scrolls and an enchantment, and with these decks they're packed with speed and haste, and if he just happens to have a speed or haste, or a combination of kind of pother, speed or flip or something, which is very likely. We don't want to lose that Harvester and lose the opportunity.
Okay, 15-second warning. So I Damning Curse the Infantryman and play the Ripper in front of the Harvester?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just...
No, by all means. Sorry.
No, keep track of the time here. Okay, awesome. Okay, so board clear. So now we move back. Do we want to slowly move back toward the center?
Yes.
Excuse me. And ideally place a Rod Eater in between the two. Well. Okay, so we get a Bloodline Taint. We have Infectious Blight, Rod Eater, and a Harvester.
So this is a time where he's in desperation mode. He's a little bit slow, and we have the tempo. So it's probably a good time to lay down the Infectious Blight, because we already have kind of some units on the board, and if we want, we can follow it up with a Bloodline Taint next turn.
Okay, and so I sack sack for resources. No.
Yeah.
Sack.
And because we know we're going to be Bloodline Tainting it, it's probably preferable to get the Harvester out over the Rod Eater. So we'd probably sack the Rod Eater for resources.
And move the Harvester and the Ripper up.
Mm-hmm.
And play Infectious Blight on one of the units. Is that correct?
Yeah. The one behind, probably.
Yeah. And the one behind versus the one in front?
Just because we know we're going to Bloodline, so we don't want him to take an aggressive stance, because we might want to kill the one in front by other means, with the Ripper or something.
Okay. Layers of complexity. I love it. Well, that plus 3,000 games experience will get you a lot.
I haven't seen how many games I played. I played too much scrolls.
All right, so have a fairly good play coming up. Kabonks the Harvester.
I think that was probably a misplay by him because normally I know Zark keeps the Kabonks specifically for infectious blights and removing the infectious blights. So if we bloodlined this turn, he could have been Kabonked his own unit and got rid of the blight, but instead it's going to work its way through.
Okay, so sack the...
This is a tough call, but the Witch Doctor's looking pretty good. Just probably, I guess, sack the Harvester for scrolls and play the Bloodline. Hopefully we get it. The perfect draw would be like an Ilmir Tribesman. That way we could play the Tribesman and the Bloodline this turn.
And a rookie move such as myself is I would have sacked the Witch Doctor for resources and played the Bloodline Taint and Harvester. But that would have left me top decking.
Yeah, you always want I like to have three scrolls in my hand.
Okay, so sack the Harvester for cards.
Yep, that's what I do.
So we did get a Tribesman.
Yes. It also lets us, because it kind of gives us stronger board presence with the Witch Doctor in the field, and it's something he has to really worry about.
Okay, so based on the time, I got 15 seconds. So Bloodline Taint the Infantryman. Tribesman, where do I place the Tribesman?
Probably in front of the Ripper, and we'll move the Ripper back.
Oh, I didn't make it in time.
That's alright.
That damn timer. Yeah, it's not what I wanted to do, but it's trying to get it out in the field in time.
If we draw a focus out of him, it's probably okay. Speed.
Okay, so sack the Darkling for scrolls.
Yep.
Then
I want to also say that this isn't the only way to play it. I know when I watch Blinky play Decay, he plays it completely differently from the way I do. So, this is just how I play.
Oh no, of course. And you have every right to it because the proof is in the numbers. So everyone has a bit of a different style. So I think that's it's good to call that out. Okay, so do we want to deal with the guy attacking, or am I going defensive?
I think we go defensive. So we move everything, all our humans up, and we play a Witch Doctor behind the Tribesman.
So Tribesman in front, Ripper middle. Which
I would just move the Ripper and the Tribesman forward and play the Witch Doctor behind the Tribesman. And maybe move the Harvester behind.
Got it. So that way we get the husks out of the Tribesman dying or the Ripper dying.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if they die, basically, because... Oh, this could be a bad bother. It's still a 1-for-1 scroll. And he's playing it a little bit... he's going after the units a little bit too much as well, which is probably good for us, because we're going to slowly build and build, whereas his tempo deck will slowly slow down.
All right. Damning Curse the Captain?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
But sack for scrolls.
You could also play the Seeker and the Tribesman. But both are good.
So sack for scrolls or resources. So depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing Damning Curse, I'd sack the Tribesman or sack the Tribesman.
Probably sack the tribesman for scrolls. We'll just keep our scroll advantage up.
Yeah. And then damning curse the captain?
Yeah.
Okay, so now positioning. I don't think we have to change anything positioning, or any of the positioning.
We could take a more aggressive stance, so we can definitely kill the shield.
So move them all up?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that threatens, to your point, that threatens the shield next turn with both the tribesman and the witch doctor attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we also don't want to get rid of the bloodline taint. I mean the infectious blight. So.
Yes. Brought his cleaver out already. Okay, so okay, so infectious blight is on here. So sack for resource. So here's a play. Even if we sack for resources, I can't. Well, we could play infectious blight brain lice, but the
I would probably sack for resources. Maybe the lifesteal even, just because if you hit 8 resources, you can infectious blight and bloodline in one turn, which is just amazing.
So just because we don't necessarily have a play next turn for the resources, if we do 8, then we know what combo we have.
Yeah, and we've only seen 1 bloodline, so we're expecting 2 more to come any time now.
Okay, so we have time check is 30 seconds. So we have the tribesman won't kill the shield, but the witch doctor will. So want to move the tribesman, move the Ripper back, tribesman down to middle.
Yeah, it's a weird play, but I would probably move the witch doctor up to take an idol, do 2 damage to the shield, and then play the that's perfect.
Sorry, I had to jump the gun there. I just saw the time. So
yeah, that's right. I'm a slow speaker, so it doesn't.
No, that's okay. Partial guess, partial anticipate what you're going to say, and partial leave room for mistakes. So gives you more opportunity to show your skill.
So we want to keep the. We didn't actually want to destroy that middle idol because we want to keep all idols as low as possible, so we can keep them guessing. Basically, if we take out an idol, it although it seems like we're closer to winning the game, doing damage evenly across the idols, I think it's a much better move.
Okay.
Overall.
So we have Sack Oblivion's Oblivion Seeker for scrolls.
We can actually kill that Wings Captain this turn with the Blight Brain Lice combo with 2 damage.
Say that with the what combo? With the
so
Blight Brain Lice.
Yes, you're right with the scrolls. Oblivion Seeker for scrolls.
Sorry, and that's okay. And then Blight and Brain Lice on the captain. Do we need to? So I need to move the witch doctor back down to second row in the middle. And do I move? I would probably move the Ripper to the back row and the Oblivion Seeker back 1 just to surround the witch doctor.
I would move the. It'd be good to protect the Ripper, so he's going to do 2 damage to the Wings Captain, and then we'll move the Oblivion Seeker down.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, there we go. Sorry, that makes sense. Okay, so boom, because the 2 poison goes down, infectious blight goes to the cleaver, which has double now. So he's probably going to. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
He'll probably probably haste this turn, but it's alright because it's almost like a 2 for 2 trade. I mean, a 2 for nothing trade. 1 for nothing, sorry.
Okay, so sack the languid for resources.
Ooh, I would play the languid on the probably on the skirmisher.
Okay. Oh, I see. Sorry, I interpreted that languid as a loyal darkling. Sorry, yes, languid on the skirmisher. What do I sack? The
maybe probably the Black Bearer. At this point, it's more important protecting our Witch Doctor, so we want those higher hit point units out. Or at least, the Oblivion Seeker, which is amazing because it gives us draw. And we'll probably leave our Witch Doctor where it is to take another idol down to 5.
Okay, so Blightbearer for resources?
No, yes.
Then play Languid on the Skirmisher. And Oblivion Seeker middle.
Yeah. Although we could have actually, Bloodlines, Infectious Blighted to remove just about all his units. I think playing it a little bit slowly now, we'll let him get out some more units. It'll do a lot more damage that way.
So we can do that, and so the plan is Blight and Bloodline Taint for combo next turn.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is a perfect example where he's putting everything on the board here. So, so the play is Bloodline Taint, Infectious Blight.
Yes. And probably the blight on that 3 hit point unit. So Relentless is pretty scary for us right now.
So Blight on this one? That one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then Bloodline Taint. Is it all one?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you cast it on. It'll do it to everything.
Okay. And then sack Life Stealer for cards? Or Life Stealer for cards?
Yeah.
All right, so that leaves us. Any positioning that we need to do different? Do I move me? Do I all move me tribesman down? Do I move him down to take out the cleaver?
We probably actually want to play defensively. So because the blight's on the board, we don't want to attack any units. So we want to probably move them up rather than down.
Okay, so move his whole bucket up.
Yeah.
And the real dip says a moment of silence for all Order players.
It is brutal.
All right, so he decimated to get rid of Infectious Blight, I believe.
Did he get rid of both Infectious Blights?
No, they're both on his. They're both on the Skirmisher. What did he?
Maybe he's got a Kabonk follow-up or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know what. Okay, so on the front unit has 2 Infectious Blight. Okay, so sack.
Okay, so it's probably a good time for the Darklings to come out because we kind of have the win in sight. We're starting to take idols.
Yeah.
So we can probably we'll probably move the Witch Doctor up and the Oblivion, sorry, the Witch Doctor down and the Oblivion Seeker up. We'll probably play the Harvester because we know units are going to be dying.
Yeah.
And we can. Can we still steal anything that doesn't have Infectious Blight on it?
Yeah, we can. No, because this is 3 health.
Okay, so we'll play the Brain Lice as well. And
sorry, the aging knight has a no infectious blight.
Oh, okay. So we'll play the Harvester. This. We'll sack the Life Stealer for resources. And we'll play the
Soul Steal on the aging knight.
Soul Steal and the Brain Lice on the perfect.
Oh, with
what? Protect the.
I did movement time.
It's fine.
So next turn, Loyal Darkling goes on top row to deal with the 1 idol.
We don't have to play the Loyal Darkling just yet. I like playing the Loyal Darkling as a finishing move.
Okay.
Rather than, because it's pretty useless otherwise. We might be able to get that idol without actually. That was fine. That was a 2-for-1 trade anyway.
Okay, sack Return to Nature for cards.
Yep.
So we can play Witch Blight.
We'll play the Witch Doctor, and also I guess Witch Doctor Blightbearer sounds good.
Okay, so sorry, Witch Doctor. I was just letting Crad know to not give up yet. So Witch Doctor in the in front of the Harvester.
Yeah.
And then Blight in front of the Witch Doctor.
The Blight probably just the middle row.
Middle.
Yeah.
And then Witch
We'll move down the Shambler to threaten the other rows.
And then Witch Doctor, second row middle.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And we'll move that Tribesman just in front.
Which is what I should have done last turn. Okay.
We could probably move the Harvester down 1 as well.
Just to give him.
Because if it procs, we could definitely get an idol with more HP.
Yeah. So we had, I think you called it bang on early, is that we wanted to weather out the early storm, keep ramping resources, and then once we do a board clear, we just keep piling on, and there's little he can do to come back.
Yeah, a big mistake. Oh, we can probably win here. Yes, we can. If we're just downing, we win. A big mistake is also the Infectious Blight timing. A lot of people just play all their Infectious Blights, and we're not really maximizing the what you can get out of them, basically.
Right. And sorry, just give me. I don't want to miss the win here. So Damning Curse, the shield, the back shield, doesn't really matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Which triggers the Harvester, which kills this idol, kills that idol. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about that. So, I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right. So give me. Okay, so the last thing you were talking about that I want to hit on first is playing Infectious Blight. So you made a comment that a lot of people don't quite play it right. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Basically, well, sometimes people throw out all 3 at once, or they throw it out just to remove 1 unit or something like that. When they just so the timing of it's pretty important. So you want the most units on the board. I mean, we held off a couple of times on our Bloodline Infectious, and when he put like 6 units down, it was just like the perfect time. Or when he had 6 units on the board. So you just want to get the most out of your blights, and a lot of the time, yeah, people play them a little bit more flippantly. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, I have a whole bunch of notes here that I want to touch on. One of them being, to take that one a little bit further about the infectious blight, is there's so much awareness that needs to happen, or I'm finding myself that there's so much awareness that needs to happen, is what units have poison, what's positioned where, which unit to actually put the infectious blight on. And I think about the first time we played infectious blight, I want to say it was before round 10, but it was maybe 7 or 8. I could be wrong. But you just made a comment about which unit to play it on, because if one of my units attacks it, then we missed an opportunity for it to spread. See if I can remember. I think there was 2 units, one in front, one behind it, and I think we played the infectious blight on the unit behind it.
Yeah, so it's always good to infectious blight either key units or units that are heavily defended, because you want to take out the front units, obviously, with your creatures on the board, while you let the infection blight do its thing on the more defended units.
And so that's a way of getting behind, because we don't have, Pother, or we don't have those opportunities. I mean, we have Damning Curse and Soul Steal, but to get those defended units, utilize infectious blight on the ones behind. Okay, so that's cool. An interesting thing that, just do a quick time check. You still got about 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. On the idle damage, again, you had a point about spreading out idle damage versus going for one, because when you go for one, you kind of split up the board, and you have to determine where you want to place your units, and it gives him more of an opportunity to concentrate his defense as to which idols he defends. So, that's a relatively, believe it or not, relatively newer concept for me, to spread out the idle damage.
Yeah, well, if you're playing something with the minion, maybe if you had a Naru in there or something, it might be worth focusing an idle down. But at the moment, it's with this particular deck, it's almost always better to spread out your idle damage, because, yeah, you don't know whether you'll be able to actually take out his other 2 idols, because, yeah, obviously he's going to have a concentrated force.
Yeah. One of the things that is, again, a slightly different, not different playstyle, just something that I haven't heard before, or that I've heard it before, but I'm not good at it myself, is the card management. And so I think this game really helped illustrate for me the importance of maintaining cards in hand. So you said something that it's a personal thing that you do to try to always keep 3 cards in hand. And is that just to keep your options open, or what? How did you kind of come to that?
Yeah. Just 3 or more. I don't know, it just feels like a good number. It's just the way I've been playing. It's kind of like, a rule of thumb. Yeah. Obviously, sometimes you're going to be top decking, and sometimes when the perfect combo comes out, or you're just behind. But yeah, it's a good way to play, I find, just to keep your options open, yes.
And you did something that illustrates a great point from a previous session that I was with, and I don't remember who it was with, but it's the credit goes to them, not to me, is they talked about, counting cards and knowing your deck, and, calling what kind of card you expect to see, because that exercises your awareness of what cards you have in hand, and you practice paying it... Sorry, Kirk. You practice seeing, you practice counting and becoming aware of what's left in your hand. And so I noticed at least a couple times during the match, you said, hey, we really could use a blank, and the next turn that would come up. Or, we could really expect to use this because that would really help us in this turn. And it is something that, it was just a really good illustration of something just, again, in an earlier session, one of the coaches said, hey, it's a good practice to get into that, because it helps you become aware of what's in your deck, becomes aware of what's in your opponent deck, and also lets you, subconsciously practice doing the card counting. I mean, I'm summarizing for them, but I just thought it was really neat that you illustrated that point today, so that was kind of cool. And this probably just comes from experience, but how do you keep track of where the hell poison and everything is on? Like, there's not
you just have to look, whatever units are glowing. yeah, it can be tricky sometimes, but yeah.
And this is from a purely newer Decay player perspective. I mean, I'm used to trying to keep track of which one of my units are poisoned myself when I'm playing growth or something. But I guess it's no different. I'm just not used to having to pay so much attention. And that's something that on the first Decay play that I had, was just being really aware again of, we talked a bit about the infectious blight, but where the poison is, and knowing what it is. I think one more point that I had wanted to talk about as I so we talked about spreading idle damage, card management. Oh, there's 2 more points. The second last point is knowing the combos, and so I think this comes from becoming an awareness of the deck that you're playing and what combos well. So the Bloodline Taint comboed with the Infectious Blight, the Witch Doctor, although we didn't play it this round, but the Witch Doctor with the Ripper, and just having the different combos in mind when you select a deck and play a deck, knowing that helps you determine potentially what to discard, or what to hold in hand and why you would hold it in hand.
Yeah, it's definitely an important part. Yeah, like, you know, the return to nature. You can't just one by itself is no good, but a couple in your hand can really change the game. And if you know you're kind of towards the bottom of your deck and you know there's 2 near the bottom, it can be a real game changer, especially when you're sacking, even to the point where you want to draw a little bit more. So normally you might sack for resources, but in some cases you might want to sack for scrolls just to get the combo off. Increase your chances.
So and again, it's situational, but you do draw for combo. Like when you look at it, go, okay, I have 10 left in the deck. I know I haven't seen 2 of those. I could really use that as a combo right now. I'm going to take a bit of a chance, knowing the odds are pretty good, to go for a draw.
Definitely. I mean, if you're behind, sometimes the combo is exactly what you're searching for. So you really have to dig for it, and you have to be aware of that and kind of that it's coming up, and you might be able to play. And also it also changes the way you play, particularly scrolls like the Harvester, where you want to protect it until that point where you can get that combo off, and then it's going to do maximum damage.
Okay. The last point that I wanted to chat about was one of the things that happened several times during this match is when to engage and when to be defensive. And so I think I've gotten myself, one of my personal bad habits is to keep on going hard after units. Doesn't matter what's going to happen, let's just try to go after the units, versus looking at it going, you know what, now's not the time to do that. Let's go back, get in defensive. And again, it happened at least 2 or 3 times during the match, where what I typically would have done would be to engage, versus hey, no, now's not the time to engage. Let's take it out of harm's way, save the units, and re-engage when we're ready for it.
Yeah, that's especially important versus people like anything but Decay. But Decay, there are no surprises because there's no haste. But someone like Order Growth, even Energy, because they have haste scrolls, like just because a unit's not going to attack next turn doesn't mean it's definitely not going to attack, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to avoid direct contact with units just to play safe, because you don't want to give away free units or key units just because that you don't think they'll attack.
And there's lots of times throughout the game that you mentioned just your dialogue about that's a 2-for-1, or that's a 2 for a 3-for-1 or 2-for-1, and you're just talking about he's spending 2 cards to get rid of one of my cards.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another mistake I see a lot of newer players make. I mean, they'll spend 2 cards or 1 card getting away, for a card that you got for free, or just 1 scroll. So you never want to trade 2 scrolls for 1 scroll. I mean, like a haste focus for a Witch Doctor, in my opinion, is fine trade.
Yeah.
Because you're getting 2 scrolls for that 1 scroll, so you're inching ahead. There's people sometimes, will play a scroll to get rid of an attack scroll to get rid of a Shambler that I got through a Soul Steal, which is a fine trade as well, because I got that card for free. I got I got rid of one of your scrolls, and now you're playing another scroll to get rid of that. So I'm up a scroll basically.
And is that tempo? That's not tempo. What's a word to describe that? Is that just scroll advantage?
Yeah, probably scroll advantage. You're slowly inching ahead. I mean, like having a scroll advantage over your opponent is a massive deal. Like, it's often what wins me games at the highest level is like a small scroll advantage. So if, for example, like, all resource, because it also translates to resources.
Yeah.
So you have to really worry about, scrolls that, or creatures that draw scrolls, like the Mystic and the Smuggler. So, yeah, it's kind of, although I like to hang on to like damning curses, they're definitely a damning curse target, even the Mystic is, at least, just because a small scroll advantage can just really snowball for your opponent.
That makes sense. All right, so I really appreciate your time today, Dialex. Thank you for hanging out and
thanks for having me.
Taking me through the deck. I think I learned a lot tonight. I think there's some really good examples. I think this was a great game to highlight some examples of thinking again, card management, paying attention to poison, knowing the combos, spreading idle damage, when to engage, card advantage. So I think there's some great discussion points. I'm definitely going to have to rewatch this. But again, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And it's been a blast.
Cheers.